sweet, sweet. Can I ask you one more thing?
Yes.
Because it was, if you go over there on the little thing, on the, where is the image? There is gonna appear some little the Thubten Kunga Ling image. You just put the mouse over there. No, 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 no. Go left, yes, and then there's yeah these three little things, and you need to pin or spotlight or something like spotlight. Yes, yes, yes. 'Cause then people see that. Yeah. Otherwise, we have someone. Thank you, Jack. I feel that I'm exploiting you. Okay, so everybody okay? Good? Very good. So once we are here together again, maybe it can be the last time. We don't know. Right? Can finish like this. Boom. Even though we don't think like that. We think, oh no, of course. Oh yeah, see you Sunday. Right? But it's true, we still need to say see you Sunday, because the probability is also there for us to see it, no, on Sunday. Even though actually Friday tomorrow we're gonna have Jackie giving a talk about her story and about her stories with Rinpoche, because she's actually gonna they are writing a book about Rinpoche, and they asked her because Jackie has a very interesting story to tell on the on the history of FPMT. So she's gonna tell that tomorrow. Or maybe we see it tomorrow, not on this Sunday. So it's very important that we try to see things as they are, right? And the reality is that we can die at any moment. The reality is that we're gonna die, but the reality is that we can die at any moment. And that is something that we normally don't think about. So that is the best way to motivate ourselves. Very good. Yes?
Loved ones, and I was one
Very
unexpected
good.
things happen. So
That's it.
maybe I'm too much aware of it.
Maybe obsessed with that. Yes. But you know what you said is very true, because normally when we have loved ones that passed away or things like that, or when we had some experience, right? And I always say that one of my biggest gifts was when I was in the earthquake in Nepal and I almost died, right? Because of that. Because I always think like, well, we can't really. And I was young. This was like 9 years ago, and you could not even consider putting your feet on the ground as a sense of safety, that safety that is like, at least you have the world, the earth as your kind of like friend. If everything falls apart, at least is there. No, not even that. So I feel that this is very important to us, Yes.
My experience is the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Through medical issue. I accepted, but I embraced impermanence.
Mm-hmm.
Enabled me not to focus on that or have that as a disturbing thought.
Mm.
It enabled me to actually focus on what I needed to get through it.
But why are you saying disturbing thought? We are talking about exactly the same thing.
I'm saying, but rather than make me think about it all the time, it actually freed me from it being a concern.
Yeah, but I think we are saying the same thing in just different viewpoints, because it's the idea of understanding it that is the importance, right? And actually bring it to mind every once in a while, or having, as you say, in the back of the mind, that understanding, or as Luciano was saying, kind of like, oh, when I'm doing something that comes to my mind, I kind of like think about that quite a lot. It is very useful. Both approaches are exactly the same in some ways. One is more kind of like subtle, that is there, the other one is more active, but both of them have the same intention, which is you can finish. right? So let's use our time wisely. And that is exactly why we use it as a big motivation. Because the motivation for us is to say, okay, if we can finish tomorrow, so what I'm going to do with it? What I'm going to do with the time that I have left, which we don't know, because it could be 1 minute, it could be 1 hour, it could be 1 year, 1 decade, right? So that is how it's very important. But so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try just to create a strong motivation for an intention for being here. So we just take a moment. You people at home as well. Let's try to generate a positive intention. Or at least just arrive here, Maybe you came from work or for busy days. Just giving yourself a little space, a little time. So we just check our bodies. There's not any tension. And we can bring the attention to our state of mind. Check if there's any tension in there as well. Any worry, anxiety, fear. Or maybe some peace and quietness and happiness. As we can see, there's always an underlying dissatisfaction. Some sort of wish that to change how things are, either in one way or another. Change things in a way that is good to me. That is very valid, because our innate wish to be happy, to be satisfied, thinks in this way. However, our mind of dissatisfaction, it's there, so we want to also be free from it. But in the Buddhist point of view, we are able to expand this motivation in not only thinking about wanting to be free from this suffering today, now, or tomorrow, but to completely eliminate the causes for it to never come back again. So this is part of our motivation, wanting to achieve that. And the other part is that we can achieve a more satisfying, lasting, if I can even say permanent happiness. That's what we want. So we also expand our mind into not having enough just for feeling a bit of satisfaction here and there, to have a long-term view. And if we go even beyond, if we bring the Mahayana motivation, we not only want to do that for ourselves, but we want to help others to do the same. So whatever we do, we don't do only to achieve happiness and freedom from suffering for ourselves. But if we take responsibility for helping others to achieve that, then whatever we do is also for them. And we really expand our mind. The sentient beings are countless. So whatever we do here today, by listening, by talking, sharing, contemplating, meditating, asking ourselves, investigating our mind, may be for that end. And that can create habitual tendencies in ourselves to continue doing that, not only here, not only now, not only throughout this class, but throughout our lives, throughout our days, until you achieve the state of enlightenment. This state, no more suffering, and perfection of our qualities, so we can help others to do the same. Let's motivate like that. So we're gonna do some prayers to help us to do that. I don't know. I need a book. Thank you, dear. Thank you so much. So we're gonna do, I don't think that Nana is there today. Maybe you can try to share, try to find and share. You're being very useful today, Jack. Jack is definitely the man today. So we're gonna start on page. I have no idea. Yes, I think it is 35, 30. Yes, 35, 35. Oh, yeah. You can just, uh, you know where you go now. Uh,
Daily prayers.
maybe on the right hand side must have like a number or something.
Oh, it's already up there. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I,
35, I think if you put 35. Page 35.
sorry.
It's okay, take your time. I would just close that little thing on the right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you if you want, and now you need to go to the Zoom. No. I mean the Zoom, the video, the. Oh. Yeah. It's very complicated. Now you can go over there and share. There's a greeting. Share. And you can share that one. Yes, that one. Just click twice or something like that. Yeah, so if you go a little bit up for page 34, we can do on page 34 today. Start on the four immeasurables. Yes, there you go. The four immeasurables. Thank you, Jack. Jack is doing great. So before we start with this, we can just also visualize the Buddha in front of us, beautiful, golden in color, just like here, the statue at the center. And for those that have the merit field, understand, all their teachers, all the lineage masters surrounding the Buddha. You can see, you can visualize His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Yeshe, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, all your teachers. On the right of the Buddha, we have Maitreya, the lineage masters of the method. On the left, Manjushri and the lineage masters of the wisdom side, coming all the way down to His Holiness. And in front of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Dakas, Dakinis, Dharma protectors. In front of them, they have like a text symbolizing the Dharma. And surrounding us, we can see all sentient beings. And while we're doing the prayers, we can imagine that golden light rays come to us from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and our teachers, giving us blessing and opening our heart and our mind to receive the teachings. So we do the prayers on page 34, the four immeasurables. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Do you think you can go to page 98?
Yeah.
Just put over there on that little corner, yeah? So we do refuge and bodhicitta before the teachings. A little bit down, yeah? You're gonna get a new job, Jack. That's the thing, you're being good, in everything. So I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodan soki chonam la janchu badu dani kyapsu chi dagi chunye ki pe sonam ki drola panche sangye druparshu. Very good. Thank you. Yes, you can stop share or something like this. Yes, very nice. Okay, so we continue our book. I don't know how many of you are reading the book, but I hope some of you are. And the book is very nice because, as I say, it's all the teachings of Rinpoche on the eight worldly concerns. Very nice, very, very, very special. And it's just as I say, just makes us go further and further and further in understanding, especially what samsara is. because we talk so much about this in Buddhism. Samsara, samsara. Oh yeah, samsara. Oh yeah, but this is just samsara. That's how samsara is. Oh, that what that means, right? Samsara. To understand samsara, we need to understand that suffering comes from the mind, not from, yes, there is a type of suffering that it is, the suffering, the suffering of the body, but that is also caused by the interaction with the mind, right? So there is the suffering of suffering, but we talked about it, remember? The three types of suffering? It was, I can't remember when, but yeah. I've been doing so many different classes that I'm already kind of like, what did I say in where? But suffering is coming from the mind. That is something that we need to understand. And by now, I think we are understanding that, right? Yesterday, we had a good, no, in Spanish, and Alejandro gave many examples of how the suffering comes from the mind. But it is, because then if you can understand that the suffering outside, it doesn't matter ultimately, right? In Buddhist, the Buddhist point of view is that ultimately it doesn't matter the outside conditions. It doesn't matter if you have whatever you want, if you have less than what you want. The suffering comes from the mind. So that implies what also comes from the mind is happiness, right? That is the basic understanding of the path. If suffering comes from the mind, happiness also comes from the mind. However, that is not at all how we understand. And we can be studying Buddhism, be studying the Dharma for years and years and years and years, and we still don't really understand this, right? So we Rinpoche now in this I don't remember which chapter. I didn't write down. I don't know if it's the fourth or fifth chapter, but it's page 51 to 67. You see, I'm getting very organized. Rinpoche is talking about the different types of sufferings of samsara, so how we can recognize it. And it's so important that we try to see that, because if we don't get that, then we cannot understand how happiness can be created by the mind, right? So we need to understand how suffering is created by the mind, because that's where we are at. We are suffering right now. Even though, yes, of course, we can be saying, yes, I'm suffering, but in the way I'm also, not suffering. Yes, thankfully, right? We are not suffering all the time on a gross level. On a very subtle level, yes, we are. But we are also having some sort of pleasures. Lama Yeshe was the best for that, right? Lama Yeshe used to say, there's nothing wrong with eating the chocolate cake, right? Just don't think that this is going to solve all your problems. And don't indulge in it, so you're going to eat the entire cake thinking that this is going to bring more happiness. Because that's what we think, right? We think that maybe, oh, maybe in the next piece of cake, maybe in the next one, maybe the next one. And that's one of the things that we say about when we are talking about the sufferings of samsara, is that samsaric methods, that's the word that Rinpoche uses, samsaric methods don't work. What means samsaric methods don't work? As I was saying, we need to understand samsara first. And samsara is just that as suffering comes from the mind, that means that the mind is under, that means that because he's suffering, it means that he's under the delusion, under the control of our negative mind. And not only this is creating, because the mind continues on time in time, is also creating seeds for us to suffer now because we are under the control of our negative emotions. So then it means that whatever appears to us, it's contaminated by that, right? Someone says some things we don't like, immediately anger, jealousy, whatever comes up. So we start suffering. That is the momentary, present moment suffering, right? The problem is that once we act on this mind and we allow this mind to stay with us, because that's normally what we do, we go home and we say, but Luciano said this to me, and right? Wow, Alejandro said this, and he said that I don't look nice, that this, and then it starts. Right? Yes, but only in Spanish, so you will know when I. So then we stay with that. So not only we are suffering now, but we are also kind of like suffering a little bit more in the future until at some point it goes away, right? We hope. Some people cling to these sufferings, you know, and then they stay with that for years. And then, you say, remember there was some movie or something that I saw recently, probably 10 years ago or something like that, and I say recent. And I'm very bad with time, But it used to say something like this person was going and say, but what did I do to you? Ah, because like 10 years ago you said this to me. The person said, and what else? And the person didn't know what to say. And the person who the other person was mad, they used to say, it cannot just be that. You've been hating me for all this time because of that? That's what we do, right? Someone said something in a certain way, or someone did something, especially family or sometimes friends or colleagues or partners or whatever, and we cling to that thing and we go into that. The thing is, to be honest, we don't need. Because the moment that we decide to follow the mind of anger, attachment, whatever, you name it, jealousy, pride, impatience, whatever, sadness, depression, we created a stem, a seed that we don't need to worry. Is no need to worry. The moment we do that, we're going to experience the result of that suffering in the future. Right? That's how karma works. So samsara means we are suffering because of two causes. The negative mindsets that we experience right here and right now, and their seeds that we are planting to experience in the future, and again, and again, and again. So that's what samsara means by wheel, or circling, or circle, because it just goes again and again and again. Right? You understand what it means? And not only this, but not only in this life, no? Then we go to the most difficult point, one of the most difficult points in Buddhism, which is reincarnation, no? To discuss. But that means that we're also going to continue doing that in next lives, in future lives. So that means that we're going to be underneath this cycle. It's like, when you go to like, how do you say, like not a roller coaster, when you go to Disneyland and there's that thing that just keeps like turning, those, especially for small kids, you go inside and it's a little like, yeah, teacup, exactly, like a teacup, you put the little kid and the little kid goes like that sometimes. We imagine that we don't stop going there. That's what it is. We just stay there forever. That's how it is. We just go from one place to the other, and like now we are men, now we are women, and now it is, and now we that, and now we did that. Oh, now we hurt someone, and now someone hurt us, and now we become angry, and then we receive anger. It's just like that, and we can see how this works easily. We go out in our day, we are in a bad mood, we want to do something, we are already late or something like that, and we go running, and then all the traffic, it seems in our minds that everybody is against us, right? Oh, the traffic is not working, or we do this, or this person or that, or this is that. We start to create all of these, like, it's almost like clouding the mind. It's like I always say, it's like, because I wear glasses, it's like we put the angry like glasses, and we see everything contaminated by that. So the moment we are doing that, we are creating and reinforcing these habitual tendencies. He said this word, and I said, yes, tendencies is such a good word. Tendencies, because it's a habit to see things like that, right? So that's what we are doing all the time. And we do it in very subtle ways. The problem is that we try to create methods to say, no, I'm going to get out of this. Oh, no, it's going to work. Oh, no. I understand. Yes, Calvin, I understand. But, I have some methods that are going to work, I do many things that it kind of like, I am very kind, I am very this and that. Yes, but with a mind of attachment, wanting to receive something in return. Because then you don't come to me and say, yes, I did that, but but I feel so abused sometimes. Some people come and they even say thank you when I do things like that. Well, you're expecting something in return. It's already not Dharma, right? So in the mind, we start to see how the mind is sneaky, how we start to see how we are under very subtle controls of this. Does it make sense? Yes? Yeah, Jack. Today you can
But
ask whatever, you can say whatever.
so it's, yeah, but so it seems like it's always a mix. So if it's, and I was
A
reading,
mix of what?
mix of the worldly concerns and trying to do the right thing. You're
Mm-hmm.
trying to do it right, but always there's, it's not perfect.
Yes.
It's not perfect. But and what I'm reading is that if it's not perfect, it's not Dharma.
Yes.
So if it's not Dharma,
Yes.
but
That's why it's called practicing. You understand?
yeah, so how,
So until the moment that we perfect it. You understand?
no,
What you just described is the spiritual path. That's exactly how it is. The spiritual path is exactly this. Is understanding that right now, because of our uncontrolled minds, there's no such thing as perfection. Okay? We cannot perfect our good qualities because we are under the control of our delusions. You understand? That is very important. Because if we understand that, then we mean we need to get rid of them. We need to eliminate them of our minds. And not only this, we need to eliminate the seeds that they planted. So I can not experience that results, which is the same result that I'm experiencing in some ways now, right? When someone says something and I feel hurt, or I feel not heard, or I feel not taken care of, whatever it is, that the pain that is suffering that we have in our minds, whatever it is we are just going to create the same experience again and again, and the same actions again and again. So when we understand, then we say, I need to try to decrease, eliminate completely by not following these mindsets, right? That's why when we study karma, we study the 10 non-virtues, and we say, it's not that the Buddha said, don't follow the 10 non-virtues. The Buddha said, understand why and how they create negative karma, negative experiences for you. If you understand that, then you don't want to follow that. It's like when you are a kid, your mom says to you, don't touch fire, right? Don't touch the fire because you're gonna get burned. You have no idea what fire is, so you just believe your mom. But then, with time, you start to go, and from your own experience, you touch it, and you're like, it really burns. So you don't do it again. So in the beginning, it's just these crazy people like me telling you or you're reading, or then you're getting the information that says, oh, if you follow the mind of desire, if you follow the mind of attachment, the mind of anger, you suffer. Then you need to experience for yourself, right? The moment you start to experience that, you want to change it. And then it starts the process, the path of wanting to change. And that path is going to be exactly as you said. Yes, we're going to not do it completely 100% perfect until we cut the minds of delusions. And that's fine. That's exactly what it is, right? It's like if you want to think about maybe you better to understand is bank. Right now, what we want is that we want to collect a lot of coins of virtue, positive, altruistic actions. That's what we want. Because we realize that if we do that, we feel good and we have pleasant experiences now and in the future. Okay? So let's say like that. So now what we have is a bunch of coins from negative tendencies. And every time we follow them, we use them. We get a new one, let's say. So we are always creating more and more and more and more, and multiplying more and more and more and more and more. So we say, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to follow that. Every time we don't follow, we lose one coin. So this starts to decrease. And we start to increase this one, right? But these ones, let's say, in some ways, they are just needed until we go beyond karma. That's the state we want to go. We want to go, karma only exists in samsara, in the cyclic existence. Karma only exists as long as we have delusions and we have their seeds. So what the Buddha is saying, that is why it's so revolutionary what he says, that we can go beyond it. By understanding the nature of reality and by developing compassion. Well, bodhicitta, right? So with these two, you can actually counteract and perfect all of these good karma that you're doing. That is why when we say the 6 perfections, we are practicing them. We are practicing generosity, but we are not perfecting generosity. We only perfect once we achieve enlightenment. You understand? And that is great.
I see it happening. I do see it happening, and I believe that it happens, but then I'm still confused as to how it's even possible, even though I see it happening.
Yes.
Because you know how the mind stream, like this moment of mind,
Creates the next one.
based on the previous moment of mind.
Yes.
But now I've got a moment of mind that's negative. So how does a positive moment of mind follow a negative moment of mind?
Because the negative state of mind is not one with the mind. It's just a cloud. You understand? That is it. That is very good question. Because the mind, what he was saying is very important, because he's saying, well, but if the continuity of mind means that the present mind comes because of the previous mind, right? If the previous mind is negative, how I can become positive now? Because that moment of the previous moment, which was negative, is not one with the nature of our mind. That means it's not inherent to our mind. If it was, it means that samsara has no end. Then we can never get out of samsara. That is because it's not. That is because it's just a habitual tendency. And because of karma, because it creates a seed. But if we burn the seed and we don't create anymore, it doesn't come up. Then no more. That is why also we can say that enlightenment in some ways is the absence of these causes, creates a permanent peace and happiness. Do you understand? Because once we don't create, so what it is permanent is the absence of the causes for the delusions and karma to arise. If they are not there, then they don't come up. Therefore, we don't suffer. Make sense? So sorry. Yes, Sharon.
Okay. Let's go through this step by step.
Let's go to the step by step. Very good.
Okay. So say I have a thought, it's a negative thought
Yes.
about something
Yes.
that happened, and I'm not happy with myself that that's how I was. And so I have to try to neutralize, I don't know if this is right, but
Yeah.
I
Just
have
say
to
whatever.
try to neutralize that negative thought so I can release it, so I don't have it come back.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But what you need to understand is first you need to be aware of the thought.
Yes.
That is just,
It might be going on for a few minutes before I
yes,
catch it.
yes, very good. And that is already, wow. Not progress. It's like, wow. Wow. As Rinpoche used to say, wow. Like this. It's absolutely like this. Because most of us, we live our lives on the total, like zombie mode, right? It's just that we have no idea what's happening in our minds. We have no idea, right? So we being aware and say, at me thinking about this way, and I'm like, whipping myself here. Then you see that. So awareness makes already the power of that thought decrease. Because it's almost like when you have someone that is kind of like hiding or lying or something, and you catch them, right? It's like, I got caught. So I cannot use anymore my sneaky ways to convince myself, right? My own mind that this thought is, yes, it is like this. Oh, yes, it is like this, right? Because that is what delusions do. Delusions is like drinking salty water. They want you to continue engaging again and 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 again, right? So we see that thought and we say, wow. And then you reason with yourself and you say, what is the benefit of this thought, right? What is the benefit? Is bringing me peace, kindness, love? Am I able to think about others when I am whipping myself? No way, right? Why? Because I know that if I am in a mindset of kindness, love, compassion towards myself and others, I am happy, peaceful. You understand? Because you already experienced that, you know. So you start to say, this thought has no reason for being here, right? You just let it go by doing something else to distract yourself if you need to, but especially by seeing it, the faults of it, right? You see the faults of it, and then you can see it. And then if it becomes very strong, you start to see it in different ways. Wait a minute, this thought is impermanent, it's not to stay with me, so it's gonna go away, you know? And you go back to the breath if you want, and then the thought is gonna go away because another thought is gonna come already, right?
That's what I was gonna say. I neutralize this one, I pray about it, I let it go, I try. And as soon as I let that go, oh yeah, but remember when
That's
you did
it.
blah, blah.
That is exactly what Jack was saying, right? Jackie was saying exactly that. It's just like, well, but that means that it's gonna come back. Yes, for many lifetimes, it's gonna continue coming back. However, 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 every time you don't allow it to take control and take over you, it loses its grasping. It loses its not grasp, grip. It loses its grip. You know, it goes losing, becomes weaker and weaker, and you catch it faster and you catch it faster. So the thought, like the suffering, that sometimes you would stay weak with that. You know, sometimes it would like bring you down. You would not wanting to get out of bed, get out of house, get out of this. That's what depression is, right? Depression is just a mind that we are just there feeding it again and again and again, and we don't have a way to get out. So that's why we need to see it. And if it is too strong, then we need to see it with different angles. Then we can use impermanence. Then, it's going to change. Then we can use an antidote. So it's like, oh, wait a minute. Like, I also have good qualities. I am not like this, look at how much I already, like, how much I already changed. So you argue with yourself, right?
Don't win all the time.
That's it. Welcome to the real world, to the human life. Yes, we don't win all the time. It's not about always winning. This is a mind that it doesn't bring any benefit because it's not based in reality. Why? Because it's not based in understanding that we have created much more negative seeds and tendencies than positive ones. Otherwise, we would not be here. So understanding that we have created more negative tendencies makes us understand that, yes, we're going to fail hundreds, thousands, zillions of times. Welcome. That's very good. It doesn't matter. It matters how many times you actually step up or how many times you let it go, how many times you let it go, how many times you let it go. It's the same thing with the breathing meditation, right? Is not about you realize, oh, I'm not meditating because I'm thinking about that. No, it's like, oh no, I'm thinking about that. Let me get back to the breath. That's it. Every time you go back to the breath, you are meditating and you're winning points into your positive karma. Therefore, it becomes easier, and it becomes easier to let it go. So then that is the beauty of Buddhism, because you don't need to wait until, like hundreds of lifetimes to see the benefit. You see it now, because the way we are suffering already with no control. But right now, you are having control. A little bit, not complete control, but a little bit of control, right? And this control goes increasing, 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 increasing with the more you practice. But there's no other way than practicing. I say that even to my monk friends, I have specifically a like his brother to me, like, wow, I'm so blessed that I have him in my life. He's an example of determination, of discipline, so sweet, so calm, totally the opposite, He's very subdued, and I'm like, like a maniac. So, but he has this tendency of like, but I got it wrong. I didn't get it perfect. I didn't get it perfect. I didn't get it right. Yes, you won't. And it's not about that. It's not about that. It's about seeing that you've been a monk for, 7 years or 8 years, and how much you have already changed in that amount of time. Wow. That's why the art of rejoicing is so important. Contentment. This is a word that we should meditate on every single day of our lives, especially you, Master. Contentment, being content with what we have and what we've accomplished. You know, I'm very good about that, right? So contentment is like, wow, look at what I get. Look what I have, right? Look, I was in certain ways, and look at what I have, and not what I have in relation to others. Forget about others. Look in relation to yourself. Look in relation to your own life. The decisions that you made that brought you here right now to having not only the outside conditions, but the inner conditions of the tools to deal with things that 10 years ago you might not have it, right? 1 year ago, 6 months ago, right? And look at now, we are able to do that. We are able to. So rejoicing is being happy. Not only we say, Rinpoche makes a lot of emphasis in rejoicing. We have one of the prayers that we do in the beginning of the text, because right now I'm not doing this, but next year when I come back, we're going to do a lot of prayers. And then one of the prayers is called the 7 limbs. And one of them is rejoicing, And rejoicing is, yes, we rejoice in the actions of so many people doing incredible good, and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and nice people. You can think about all of these people that we know doing good to others, but we rejoice in our own good actions. Very important, especially for us, especially for that story that I say about the Dalai Lama, no? Low self-esteem, rejoicing, great against low self-esteem. Great is great. It's like, wow, so powerful, because it's being happy for what we have achieved. And to be honest, it's not small. We think it is, because we are always thinking, oh, but I'm not perfect yet. I need to be perfect. Like Jack, but I'm not perfect yet. I'm still making mistakes. Yes, we are. Today I'm in this debating mode. You understand? That is the most important. Yes, Alejandro.
A reflection about the
Speak
daily
slow,
life.
speak loudly so people online can hear you.
Isn't the daily life like the real practice? Because, for example, when you go to retreat, you have the perfect condition
Yes.
to calm your mind, and you have your mind under full control. But then you go out from retreat.
You go out from retreat, and then everything falls apart. Yes.
That's the real practice.
Yeah, everything is practice, right? It doesn't matter, because also daily life depends, right? I feel sometimes that I'm having a daily life which is almost a retreat, which is a blessing. Honestly, like today I was thinking about it, and I was just thinking about Venerable Tendra and being so grateful to her, because I'm having this space now to be here, there, and I'm being here. And I was just thinking about that, really rejoicing, feeling so grateful for that, right? But it's not about that. It's about why, when we go into retreat, things become, we feel it is easier, right? And in some ways it is. Well, because we have less distractions and we have more outside conditions that in kind of like makes us go, instead of going outside, makes us go inside. Because the the word Buddhist in Tibetan is called Ngampa, and Ngampa means inner being. So that is very important to understand what I'm talking about. If you understand that inner being means you're gonna look for the causes of suffering, what I just said in the beginning of the class, all things come from the mind, suffering and happiness. So when you go into retreat, what are you doing is that you are just creating the necessary conditions, because we are very influenced still right now, very influenced because of exactly what Jack said. Right now, we are still, everything that outside still influences us quite a lot. Therefore, we think, that, oh, when I'm here, I'm not meditating, I'm not doing well. It's not like that. It's just because the conditions are harder in some ways, because the conditions are bringing us outside. It doesn't mean that it needs to always be like that, right? So, and one of the things that we need to understand is that if we achieve those mind states in retreat, and that is exactly the reason why we do retreat, is to give us the opportunity to taste some more deeper aspects and subtle aspects of our minds, to make us, as I was saying to Sharon, to say, when I'm in this space of mind, look how I'm much more calm, peaceful, beneficial to others. So whenever the negative mindset comes, I can remember the time in retreat and say, but I also have this mind. I don't need to use that one. I can let this one go and I can focus on that. And I start to create, even on my daily lives, the conditions, inner and outer, to sustain that mindset, even if it was in retreat only that we experienced. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is very important, because then we can develop more and more and more until, as one of my precious, he's so precious, Venerable Charles, he used to say, then we are always in retreat. That is what Rinpoche says. That is the best. Be always in retreat. We are always in retreat in our mind, right? Because we have the capacity, and the capacity to be in retreat is inside of our mind, is not outside. Unfortunately, because of our negative tendencies, they are so strong that we need outside conditions. That's why retreat centers exist, right? Ultimately, we can live in retreat, but we are not there yet. And that is the best thing that we can do. Understand where we are at and say, oh yes, I still need to go into retreat, to go into kind of like closed space, to give up my phone, my iPad, my everything, to detox myself a little bit. I still need that. And this is a great way. That's why, retreats, they can have different, they go having different tastes in our lives, as I say. In the beginning is a way for us to maybe just relax and have a bit more space to kind of like be with ourselves. But then retreat starts to become very deep, because retreat, if you really do retreat, is just you with yourself, right? It's just you with yourself. So but what we try to do is that, oh, the air condition is not so good, or this is not so good. Da, 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 da. There's a very nice story from Alan Wallace, and he went is his teacher, and very nice person, and he studied a lot with many different teachers, and now he's kind of like a very, yeah, a very good scholar and teacher. And he used to do retreats, guide retreats, 1 month, 2 months, and then he would go, and then everybody would kind of like complain, oh, this, oh, that. And then he went into this 5-star hotel by the beach in Thailand, like everything perfect, best chefs, best this, everything. And he said it was one of the hardest retreats because the amount of complaints was enormous. The same thing that Rinpoche says, right? Rinpoche says, that story, I think I already told the story about Tahiti, when he went to visit Tahiti and he said, so much suffering. Yes, the conditions are there perfect. Everything perfect for you to have the time of your life. Mind? Right? So then you start to understand that all suffering comes from the mind and all happiness as well. And this is what we need to understand. Because if we understand that happiness also comes from exactly what Sharon was describing, was every time that she's able to be aware and let it go of their mind, that is, right? That is.
It's important also, I know for me,
Mm-hmm.
to be benevolent to that negative mind, to be benevolent, not to scold it.
Yes, very good. Very important.
I happen to have like a hyper awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So they come up often and so instead of scolding.
Yes, never
I
scolding.
say, well, you are again.
Yes, because I feel that that's the
You know
thing.
what I'm saying? I
Yes,
look at it and I say,
absolutely.
"Oh, here you are again."
That is
Okay.
exactly this.
And then I
Welcome
try to
them,
work-
not try to
welcome
push
them,
them
I
away.
embrace them, I
Yes,
say, "Do you
yes,
want
very good, very good.
It's very
But that
helpful for me.
that is why we have, for example, here we don't have so many, but like that's why we have, for example, like Guru Rinpoche. We say that it represents that posture that he's at is not so much the posture that he sometimes has, but it is the posture. There's some postures, or sometimes you see, some of these deities with fire, with kind of like, skulls and all of that. We have that. Yeah. Yeah, and then we think about these things and we are like, what are these things? They all represent what I called as well, what the Buddhist calls is the wrathful,
Wrathful.
wrathful.
Yes.
No,
Wrath.
translate
Wrath.
Wrath.
wrath,
Wrath. Oh.
wrath, wrathful. Mount Joshua, exactly, exactly. It's like this. We are in the same page. For me, Tibetan, no problem. But it's very good. But what that means is that sometimes, yes, I totally agree with Luciana is doing, because we already have a tendency to be so bloody tough on us, right? We are our worst enemies. We are always boom, boom, boom. Oh, look at me again. Look at me. I'm not perfect. I'm not practicing correct. I'm a bad monk. I'm a bad practitioner. I'm a bad person. I'm a bad this. I'm a bad that. So then these things come up. So these things come up, and we are like, again, this is happening to me again and again. Well, yes, it's going to happen many times. And if you continue pushing away, it's going to happen even more. So you need to embrace it. So I always say that actually practicing the path is creating that space within ourselves where things can come up. And then it's not that you engage with them and feed them, but you actually analyze them from different points of view. As I always say, it's like this. You're going to see from there, from here, from here, from here, from here. And you say, and it's almost like it dissolves by itself. You don't need to do much. And the more you have that space for yourself where things can come up, when you see how things are, when you have a certain contentment and acceptance, the more you can help others to have the same space. Because that's the only thing. You cannot come into my space and I cannot share my space with you. You need to grow your own space, right? So for me to be able to help others, I need to grow and cultivate my own space. That's why for me, I always say I feel like a imposter syndrome, like being sitting here. And the only thing that I can do is talk about from my experience. I cannot do different. If for me it would be too like hide me saying to you guys, yeah, because this is, yeah, you need to do, you don't do that. I'm not. I'm still like, falling apart. That's what we can do, but we try and we try. That is the difference between practitioner and someone that is not practicing. A practitioner is trying to apply the methods and trying to apply based on the different types of wisdom, learning, contemplating, and meditating. We need to have all of them. right? That's why when you go into retreat is a part of the meditation. So we need all of these still outside conditions. We can go in. Make sense? Hmm. Let me tell. Someone online has any questions because they have a lot of questions here. No, if you have any questions, you just start talking online, okay? This is my request for saving, okay? If you online people want to save me, you ask something, okay? Tell me, chair. No question anymore.
Oh, I forgot
Yeah,
what it was.
yippee!
No, I got it. Is it important to have someone that you can talk to help you sometimes see things from a different perspective? Because if I'm using my same brain and my same thoughts to try to correct those thinking and those thoughts, it like
You don't need someone to talk to but you need, as I just said, the three types of wisdom. And the three types of wisdom comes from teaching, from learning, from studying, from contemplating and meditating. And that's why for you to develop these three things, that's why it is the root of the path, as we call. So the beginning of every path needs to start with a teacher, with a guru, with someone that can teach you these three types of wisdom, right? But with time, the more you start to develop this understanding, this, like, knowledge, the more you start, you can see that your contemplation aspects start to become smarter because you have different ways, you have different kind of like point of views, you don't fall anymore to the same mindset. The more you can meditate, because meditation always is by yourself, but you can feel the results of the transformations of the inside, right? It's a little bit as like Alejandro was saying, when we go into retreat, and even when we are doing practices, sometimes you go and you have those insights. The problem is that they don't stay, right? Why they don't stay? Because they are still not a direct realization, as we say, right? It is still inferential. It is still, when we study about the mind and mental factors and kind of like mind and cognition and mind and awareness, I can't remember whatever is the name that they translated. Then you go that, then you start to understand that you need to use the different aspects of the mind to actually get a proper insight that is not going to turn back, that it becomes effortless. And the more you do that, the less you need a direct contact with your teacher, right? Because ultimately, our teacher is our own pure nature of our mind. It's a mind that doesn't need thinking, conceptualizing. It's just pure awareness, pure compassion, pure love, pure bliss. That is our ultimate guru. So everything until we realize and let's say manifest ourselves from that mind, it's all our methods, but they are not the final goal. And that's when we lose ourselves. Because we think that it is using hundreds of different colors or doing meditation or sitting this position or making prayers and all of this is very important, very important. They all have because they all have a intention behind, right? They all have a meaning behind, and the more intention you start to grow and do it, then it becomes the path, the path, right? The path and the training, as Jack was saying, then it becomes, but it needs to come from that. And until we go, so the teacher is someone that is guiding us until the moment that we go beyond the teacher, right? That we merge ourselves with the teacher, because the mind of the teacher is the same nature of our own minds and it's the same nature of the gurus. It's pure, clear, full of love and compassion. That is the beauty of it. So special. If you really understand that. So that's why we start normally, when we talk about the Buddhist path, we start about with the Guru. But the Dalai Lama said that it can be very hard for the Westerners to understand that, because it can become like, oh, the first thing I'm talking about is how important I am, me, the teacher. You know, normally we put the Guru devotion a little bit more towards the middle and end of the path. First, we need to acquire knowledge and understanding about how the mind works, how our negative emotions, how karma works, so we can understand the importance of the Guru. Because the Guru is the beginning, is the middle, and is the end. Without the Guru, there's nothing. Because without the Guru, we would never even hear the word Dharma. And the Guru embodies those teachings. So that also inspires us to believe it is possible, because that is one of the biggest obstacles we have. We don't believe we can become a Buddha. If we would believe, we would easily transform ourselves. That's why we have all these deities, all of these images, all of that. All of that is to inspire us to say, I don't need to identify myself with this full of flaws, full of defects, full of like putting myself down all the time as I'm always thinking about myself, or with this craving of like, I need this, I need that. No, I can see myself as who I actually am, as the basis of my mind, as the purity of my mind. That's why Tantra is so complicated for us to practice truly, because it can become very dangerous. Because Tantra is that you see yourself as the deity, and you try to keep that view all the time. And that view comes from understanding emptiness and the mind of reality and bodhicitta. Because if you're doing Tantra just to have a good time, forget about it. It needs to be in order to benefit others, because you want to transform your death, your rebirth, and your reincarnation into the path to enlightenment, so you can arise as soon as possible as a Buddha, perfect being, perfect, has perfected all of it to benefit others more and more. Next time, we're also going to do an introduction to Tantra course. Very important. Mama Yeshi used to say that. Yes, Tantra is just is a path. It's a swift path, because we use different aspects of the mind, of the body, and the subtle body that we say, right? It's like when we say about the Tantra, because what we want to achieve when we talk about enlightenment, normally we're just talking here about enlightenment, about I didn't say anything that I had to say today. It's all your fault. Okay? You guys started. You know me by now, that when I start, I go, you know. I hope that you guys are not sleeping over there, okay? But then what happens is that when we are talking really about enlightenment, we are talking about developing in an unconditional and unlimited way our qualities, right? That's how we always talk about enlightenment. We develop our perfect our qualities. We in an unconditional, unlimited way, and we cut the root cause of our suffering so it doesn't come back, right? That's what we talk about. But actually, what we're trying to achieve in the Buddhist path is that we are wanting to try to achieve the three bodies of the Buddha. That is kind of like the mind of enlightenment of the Buddha. So the mind that is completely pure of the negativities. So complete, the body that is manifesting with intention. So it's totally different than samsara, which has no intention, because we have no idea where we're going to be reborn, right? So it is with the pure intention, which there's no willing, it's just automatic intention to help others. And the body that we call the subtle body, or it's not we call them, yeah, but I'm trying to, they use the word, the lighting body, now, something like that.
Formless body.
Yeah, but yeah, the formless body, but I want to give the intention about the idea, which is kind of like, let's say that we manifest as the deity, is that idea that also we are manifesting as a pure enlightened being for others to see, others to be able to also connect with their purity with them. Yes, we have the form body, but it's just the manifestation. Like, we want to manifest because, like, for example, we say that Lama Zopa, Lama Yeshe, the Dalai Lama, they are the embodiment of a Buddha. Because right now, with our crazy minds, with our different glasses of delusions, that's what we can actually connect with, right? With a person that is a human being that was born from a womb, from a mother, from that had a childhood, that had a story. That's what we can. If like someone like a Buddha would appear out of nowhere from the sky, we would say we would go crazy. Or they would kind of like appear in a different format that we don't know what it is, a little bit more ethereal, like with less body, less kind of like physical, but we might not think that we are totally crazy, right? But in this way, the Buddhas, they come in the format of the guru. That's why the guru is so important. Because the guru the Buddha manifests as the guru. But we say that the guru is even more important than the Buddha, like, for example, because we never met him. But we are meeting the guru, and the guru is here with the single intention to benefit us. Only that. It's a shame. I'm like meeting Lama Zopa Rinpoche for me was such a special moment because I realized that it is possible. It is possible to have in the mind a single thought. How can I benefit others? Just that. It was possible. I could see it. So then you say, I want to be like that. That means I want to be like a 70-year-old monk that was born in Nepal without teeth and things like that. No, I want to do it. I want to do it from my side. I want my mind to manifest as a Buddha, to be the Buddha, right? Yes, Roy, I'm sorry. You wanted to talk.
But I think this a week or two ago, and I asked you about this, about guru devotion.
Mm-hmm.
And you said there's a difference between guru devotion and deity.
Yes.
So if I'm doing the Maitreya
Good.
meditation,
Best.
is that deity? That's not guru.
You're doing Guru Yoga, which is you're doing with the deity.
That's deity, not
Yes.
guru.
Yes. Yes. It is the same in a way of like, because the idea of the Guru devotion is, as I say, the ultimate goal is that you want to conjoin your mind with the mind of the Buddha, with the mind of the Guru. Which what that means? It means that your mind has the same essence. You realize the essence of your mind. That is the same nature. That is the same essence of the mind of the Guru. That is the same essence of the mind of the Buddha. It means that we all have the same essence right now, but we don't realize it because we are totally contaminated by layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and lasers layers of delusion, right? Yes, makes sense what I'm saying?
Guru devotion necessarily, which not everybody may have access to it.
What do you mean by access to Guru devotion?
Not everybody may have a teacher available who wants to practice, but they can practice. They can do something like Maitreya.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Are they achieving
absolutely,
the same thing as guru devotion?
absolutely. You are definitely practicing parts of Guru devotion, but you're not practicing all of Guru devotion. Why? Because one of the biggest aspects of Guru devotion is following the advice of the guru, of a living guru. Why? Because the living guru, as I say, is the manifestation of Maitreya that is telling you how, because one of the qualities of the mind when we become a Buddha is omniscience. Remember, I talked about that, is the possibility of seeing the karma of the other person to say, Roy, for you, you should practice this and that and do this and that, right? And then if you do have the trust, the faith based in understanding, not blind faith of like, oh yes, whatever this person say, but if you understand the mind, how it goes, how it comes, and if you follow that, the mind becomes, then that practice becomes very, very powerful, because you're going to go against what? You self-cherishing, right? Because how you go against the self-cherishing is because your self-cherishing say, just keep low, just don't do anything, just eat and sleep and go this and that, and the guru is telling you, do this practice, which is going to go against it, right? Which is going to be a practice based on opening the heart, understanding reality, because all the practices have that aim, right? All the Buddhist practices comes from that aim. The Buddha taught 84,000 with the idea of developing enlightenment. That's what he wants. All of them. It's for people to achieve enlightenment. How to achieve enlightenment? Absence and bodhicitta. No? So that is the aim of all of them. So when you're doing these practices, you're doing that. You're creating that very strong habitual tendency in your mind to meet again and again with gurus and to follow their advice. And this will make your spiritual path quicker, right? So that is the important point of it. But as I said, you need to prepare the mind. So that's why I told you to do calling the guru from afar, because it's to prepare the mind. So when the guru comes, you are able to receive the advices and really focus in that.
When it's the right time,
Right.
the guru makes himself available to you.
That is exactly if you
Open yourself up.
that's it. If you accumulate the right conditions for that to happen, right? That is what it is. That is what you have to do it, because there's no kind of like the Buddhas, even though they don't create any more karma, because karma only exists because of ignorance, right? Because of grasping to inherent existence, to existing from this own side. That's why karma exists, right? We need to do, I don't know if you already study here the 12 links of dependent origination, I'm sure, right? So the 12 links, it shows exactly how it goes, how ignorance is the first point, right? And then how it comes, sensations, and all of this. All of this creates samsara, creates suffering. So if we cut that, we don't have any more. So we don't have any more action, we don't have any more karma, we don't have any more any of this, right? Action in the way of action and result, karmic action. So once you did that, the Buddha is free from karma. But it is still under the, how do you say, it cannot, because karma is a law, right? It's a law. It's not a, he's not above the law. Exactly. It's like the Buddha is not above the law of cause and effect. So if you don't have the karma, the Buddha cannot do anything besides pray and make whatever he can with your karma to try to help you. But if you don't have the karma to see the guru, to see the Buddha, the guru in this life in a flesh, you just need to continue, making prayers, requests, and then you do the practices, and then with time will come.
The day devotion or doing something like the Maitreya
Yes,
meditation can open you up.
definitely, definitely,
Having a guru appear.
definitely, absolutely. Especially Maitreya, because Maitreya is the next Buddha, right? So it does create the idea of like, wow, then it can actually create like a connection with the next Buddha. So when the next Buddha comes, if you're still in samsara, maybe you're not. If you're still in samsara, then he's gonna come and help you, because you created that connection. It's exactly what is needed for us to receive the teachings, right? To right now do exactly what you're doing. Whenever he comes in 2,600 years, then you're correct. You're already creating the connection. Very good.
I
Yes.
want to say something to Sharon about talking about, look at the beautiful sky.
Yes,
Sorry.
very beautiful.
So, can you see it? Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's night still, it's still.
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. So, about the idea of having someone to talk to, you said, don't we need, so I know I just can speak for myself. I know that having the teacher here, also on YouTube, we have Venerable Robina.
Yes,
And,
perfect.
and if you look, there are different topics. When I'm feeling something.
Yes, very
I look at
good.
the topic that you might
Yes,
be talking
that's
about.
exactly this.
And I said, oh, and that's, and we also have Venerable Tendrin is on YouTube,
Yeah,
right? We have Pema Chodron.
yes, we have
And they
so
have
many
these
teachers.
topics, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
for
yes, yes.
me, and they will speak to the issue.
Yes. So what is she's doing is the kind of like, she's doing the first type of wisdom, which is to accumulate understanding that will help her to contemplate and to meditate on this, right? That's why study again and again and again is so important. When I come next week, next year, if you still want, we're gonna have classes every day. Because of that, because we need to continue again and again and again and again. Why? Because our delusions are too strong, right? Our delusions looking for methods, to get out of it. Because when we are creating the methods that we are creating, they just don't work, right? And when we are following these methods, we are suffering more and more, right? Because we think like, oh no, okay, so yes, I'm not gonna, I'm feeling so down, I'm feeling so bad. So what is she doing? Great method, because really creates the antidote for whatever she's feeling that is bad. But normally our method is, I'm gonna have a drink, I'm gonna use drugs, I'm gonna watch TV, I'm gonna like you waste my time on Instagram, I am gonna kind of like, do something completely. Normally that's what we do. We just distract, thinking if I don't give attention to that problem, it's just going to go away. It goes temporarily, but it doesn't cut the root of it. So that means, like a plant, it grows again, right? And because we didn't give so much attention, and we know we didn't give attention, right? We know we left it there. So what happens? It becomes stronger each time. That is one of the characteristics of karma. The potential, it goes potentializing, increasing, increasing, increasing. So one little thing that we thought that we could have just tackled at the moment, but we started to try to use it different ways, now is a tree. Cutting a tree is much harder than actually burning a seed, right? That's why it's so important that we pay attention, that we use the right methods to actually tackle. And the right methods have to be something. That's why we say, what is Dharma? What is the definition of Dharma? Something that goes against the delusions. What goes against the delusions? Bodhicitta and emptiness. And emptiness, or the right view, can be whatever you understand of that. When you understand that, oh, it's me creating this delusion, or it's me projecting this, or things are impermanent, things are changing, whatever it is that you can understand. But that's why it's so important, the more and more we study the right view and we study what emptiness means, the subtle aspects, dependent arising, what that means, what it means, cause and effect, when you start to go more and more and more, then you can reason with yourself and cut things much better. And bodhicitta, the mind that wants to achieve enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings, that understand that all sentient beings are suffering, and therefore they also want to achieve, the happiness that we also want. So that is what it is. That's what we want in our lives. That is the idea. Next time, we're going to do a silent teaching. No, actually, I really like that we are able to discuss these things. So please never, ever, ever stop asking questions. Just you, Jackie. No, you can always ask questions. So I didn't do much, but yeah, it was just a bunch of blah blah blah. You guys can read the book; it's much better than me. You just read the book and it's much better. Page 51 to 67. But next week we do it. We do it again. We do it again. So let's do any other questions before we close? No, let's dedicate. Jack, can you try to put the dedications there for them? So we're gonna start with page. No idea. You let's start with the general dedications. Where is the general dedications? I have here 235. 235. Yes. Then okay, so what are we dedicating? What means dedicating? Well, dedication means that we created a lot of seeds right now during these 1.5 hours. Incredible beneficial seeds. Why beneficial? Because they're gonna now they are already counteracting our negative minds, right? And we are creating seeds for them to continue doing that in the future. So in order for us to not lose this benefit, or to enhance, to kind of like, it's almost like put fuel so we can grow even better, we dedicate. So dedication is that idea. I always say motivation is that when you kind of like, you do you want to plant something. So you just make a hole, you put the seed, the putting the seed is like, the practice in itself. But then if you leave it open, then it's not going to grow, or things can happen. So dedication comes to, you put it like, you put the rest of the earth, on top of it, and you put water, and like, okay, now I know this is going to grow into the right direction. So that is what dedication is. That's why we dedicate. That's why it's so important. Another of the 7 limbs. The 7 limbs are just practices that we should do every day, right? So we do that. So we just think about all of the people that are suffering right now in different types of ways. We can think about any person in our lives that are suffering. And we dedicate that this energy, this positive energy that we created here individually and as a group, that can reach them in different ways, not only now, in this life, maybe in future lives, in whatever way that they need, especially those beings that are suffering due to any sickness or illness, or those beings that passed away in the last 49 days that are still not in a new rebirth. May they have a good rebirth, rebirth in the pure lands, or especially as have a perfect human rebirth. And we dedicated all the wars of the famine, all the diseases, all the economical problems, family problems, and all the problems that we have in the world, all the suffering, so much suffering, the fights, all of these that are just due to we following our negative minds. May all of these be completely empty, completely eliminated. And it can only be from the things that we've just discussed here today. The only way to cut it. And because we would not be here if it was not for the kindness of all other sentient, so many people, especially the people here in the center, the current directors, the previous directors, Jackie, the founder, all of the volunteers who have come here in the past, who are here now, like Jack, Margaret, everybody, helping so much. All of these would not also be possible if it was not for Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And it was not going to be, they would say they was not be able if it was not for the kindness of the Dalai Lama, who lost his country, have the courage to continue spreading love, kindness, harmony. And this would not be able if it was not Siddhartha 2,600 years ago. That is the power of the Buddha. 2,600 years ago, we are still here making it alive and using it, this wisdom and compassion, to transform our lives. So we dedicate for His Holiness long life, for Rinpoche's swift return, and for us to be always guided by perfect teachers in our future lives, again and again. So we go on page 235. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, I too dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious one thus gone of the 3 times, so I might perform good works. I dedicate whatever virtues I have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of perfect pure Losandrapa to shine forever. Now we go to 246. 246. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain a notion of happiness and joy by virtue of our merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food, may the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those with sorrow find joy, may the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain, to dispel the miseries of the world. Page 244. In this land circled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso. Please remain until samsara ends. I don't know if you're gonna have there somewhere in the... Oh yeah, over there, look. Yes.
Is that sharing?
I don't...
I think so.
Yeah, let's...
Yep.
Ooh. Just close.
You know, that's the AI is me.
It's okay, it's okay. Just go there. Fearless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, 234, sorry, page 234, 234. Fearless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of the infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you are the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway to reach all benefit and happiness and merge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great ways of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. So try to stop sharing. And then yes. Thank you so much, everybody. Sorry that I could not follow so much the book, but I think it was a interesting discussion we had. Thank you so much. And then so on tomorrow there is a Jackie at 7 to 8:30. She's gonna talk about. She's also can do it. It's gonna be online. And on Saturday at 10 a.m. we're gonna go to the Marikami museum at 10 a.m. We're gonna meet there, and we're gonna go for a walk. And we're gonna do a small meditation, and then we're gonna just check how it is. Yeah, so we are all invited.